She's reportedly bullied virtually everybody who's ever worked for her. She can't keep a staff in London. She can't keep a staff in Montecito. She's a bully.
This also follows all the stories about her bullying staff over here in the UK, which is unresolved. NDAs stopped all that stuff coming out, but she bullied people in a very unpleasant way over here.
The Duke and Duchess of Montecito, Harry and Meghan, have gone on a, well, let's say a quasi-royal tour.
You've had the Duke and Duchess of Montecito running around like a rival royal family, trashing their family, trashing the monarchy.
Everybody who works for her quits. Everybody says she's a bully. She's very nasty. Not only is she incredibly controlling, but she's a bitch about it to everybody who works for her.
Harry wasn't even in Montecito for Archie's 6th birthday party.
When things inevitably start spiraling downward, she blames everyone but herself.
You've got Meghan, who's trying to push this completely different brand of happy families and let's all hold hands and jump around in a circle. And Harry is clearly not okay.
She wants us to put together a fruit crudité board for our children in the morning. Now, look, Maureen.
I can't.
Look at this.
I can't.
She's trying to sell herself as this wholesome mother who's baking cookies and making tea for the rest of the family.
She is a brand. She's an actress. We know that she can project whatever she wants to.
He doesn't have that amount of money. People seem to think that because he's the king's son, he's rolling in money. He never was.
She and Harry made their whole racism debacle and left the UK, left their royal duties, and moved to the US to bug all of us.
The only thing HRH stands for in association with Meghan Markle is her ruthless homewreckerness.
We've all scrolled past those sun-drenched snapshots of Meghan and Harry's sprawling Montecito escape, towering palms, terracotta roofs, and that endless Pacific glare that practically screams happily ever after. But rumor has it, those glossy pictures only tell half the story.
It's been several months now since our beloved queen has died. All Canadians are finding it hard to go on. All Canadians, that is, except for our first guest, the prince and his wife. We want privacy! We want privacy! Hey, thanks for having us on the show. It's so awesome to be here. It's great. So let me start with you, Sam. You've lived a life with the royal family. You've had everything handed to you, but you say your life has been hard, and now you've written all about it in your new book, Twin.
According to people who claim they actually kept the household humming, the Sussexes California kingdom was less Malibu dreamscape and more Hollywood pressure cooker. One former staffer insists the vibe behind those manicured hedges felt like a movie set where everyone's walking on eggshells, hoping not to ruin the take. Allegedly, NDAs and whispered warnings framed every shift. The moment you slipped through the gates, you entered a world where the wrong fragrance in a hallway or the wrong eye contact could spark a mini-meltdown.
I don't think anyone in the world knows that Meghan Markle has eaten Jack in the Box and loves it.
It's so funny, too, that you keep saying Meghan Markle. You know I'm Sussex now.
You know, it's actually so funny that you keep calling me Meghan Markle. I'm Sussex now.
Why speak up now? Several insiders say they stayed silent out of misplaced loyalty. But after a parade of abrupt resignations and resumes slipped quietly to rival estates, they feel it's time to air the real Montecito secrets. Their accounts paint Meghan as a meticulous auteur, choreographing everything from the scent of the foyer to the cut of the gardener's uniforms, while Harry oscillated between chilled surfer prince and frazzled peacekeeper. Staffers claim that what outsiders see as wellness values inside felt like endless checklists, hourly yoga setups, diet-approved juice runs, lavender-infused linens swapped on a whim.
I appreciate what hard work looks like. I like working hard.
Well, according to their tax documents, they work 1 hour a week.
These weren't royal protocols, one source scoffs. They were celebrity-level demands crossed with palace-grade formality. If the tabloids think Montecito is just an idyllic refuge from Windsor drama, the staffers beg to differ. They hint at strict no-go zones inside the mansion, corridors monitored for chatter, and that infamous no eye contact unless spoken to edict. An echo, they say, of the couple's fallout with royal aides across the Atlantic. Insiders suggest the rules were less about privacy and more about control, shielding an image still vital for brand Sussex's multi-million-dollar deals. Whether that image is cracking or merely evolving is up for debate, but the former employees agree on one thing. Behind those oak doors, the Hollywood halo slipped more than once. And if their testimonies hold any weight, Meghan and Harry's Montecito secrets are just getting started. But the rule book, insiders say, was where Montecito truly morphed from postcard paradise into a private fiefdom.
After taking a break from taking a break, I guess. Meghan Markle is back, and she has released a new Netflix trailer. Now, just to give you the background of this, if you're wondering why she's doing this, it's because she kind of sold her soul to the devil. Obviously, she's always wanted to be an A-list actress. She never wanted to be a princess. I called out from the very beginning. She wanted to be amongst the A-list.
Former employees allege they were handed a laminated conduct sheet on day one, no unscheduled knocks on the primary suite, no photographs even of decor, and, most eyebrow-raising, that notorious eye contact ban unless Meghan or Harry initiated conversation. One gardener recalls being startled when a visiting friend waved hello over the hedge. An overseer allegedly appeared within seconds to remind him the Duke prefers discretion. Another ex-housekeeper tells us staff learned to shuffle sideways past a particular hallway mirror after Meghan reportedly complained about stray reflections ruining her morning calm. It felt like Buckingham without the tiaras, she quipped, only half joking. Access, too, was surgical. Sources whisper that a coded lighting system, subtle colored bulbs above certain door frames, signaled who could enter. Green meant deliveries, amber meant proceed only if summoned, red meant turn around. According to one night security guard, the nursery wing was nearly always locked down in red, a privacy protocol that, while understandable for new parents, allegedly left nannies pacing outside with baby monitors rather than crossing an invisible line. Staff pulled triple duty navigating these boundaries. If Harry wanted a late-night snack from the chef but Meghan was decompressing in a red zone, someone supposedly dashed to a guest house kitchenette instead of risking a corridor collision.
Trying to make ourselves into a brand just turned us into products. We don't need to be a brand, do we? If it's truly what we want, then we really can get away from it all. No more magazines and Netflix shows. We really can live a normal life. Yes, I'm sure you agree, darling. We can be the people we talked about being, with no more worries about how we look or the image we project to people. What matters is what we have on the inside.
All of it, ex-employees speculate, fed a narrative of control rather than pure safety. An aura that kept the Sussex brand pristine for Spotify calls and Netflix camera crews. They needed us to maintain the fairy tale, said one former driver who claims he waited in idling SUVs for hours because Meghan reportedly disliked seeing parked cars in drone shots. Yet the stricter the rules became, the more fissures appeared, whispered frustrations in the staff-only pantry, eyes rolled over coffee lids lined up with military precision, volunteers quitting mid-shift after a single reprimand for folding towels the wrong way. Whether these protocols were misinterpreted or meticulously enforced is still debated, but every source agrees the mansion felt less like a sanctuary and more like a stage, one where every extra knew they could be recast at a moment's notice. Morning light supposedly crept through that Spanish-style courtyard at exactly 6:30, and from the first birdsong, the entire household braced for mood roulette. Some insiders say Meghan began each dawn in what they dubbed producer mode, pacing barefoot across the kitchen tiles with a mug of adaptogenic coffee, rattling out updates for everything from podcast edit notes to Archwell merch. Harry, in contrast, allegedly drifted in 15 minutes later, hoodie, mismatched socks, asking if anyone fancied a sunrise surf check. Staffers claim the vibe pinballed, 1-minute spreadsheets, the next chilled playlists. A private yoga teacher might arrive to find the living room furniture rearranged twice already, while a chef, sources insists, waited on standby with 2 separate menus because no one knew if breakfast would be plant-based detox or bacon stack comfort. That uncertainty apparently infected every corridor.
She wants all of the privileges that go along with an identity, but she doesn't want any of the responsibility. She doesn't want to do any of the work. She wants the tiara. She doesn't want the public service.
One gardener swears he was asked to hand trim a single lavender bush 3 times in 2 days because Meghan reportedly felt the scent levels fluctuated. Meanwhile, a driver alleges Harry invited a buddy over for a spontaneous mountain bike ride, leaving planners scrambling to free up security cars that were, moments earlier, booked for Meghan's midday photo call. "We were spinning plates on a trampoline," muttered one former aide who claims she kept 2 radios, one tuned to the Duchess's requests, the other to the Duke's, to avoid missing a sudden pivot. The tension, according to whispers, reached its peak just before lunch. If Meghan's schedule ran 5 minutes behind, staff feared a domino effect on video conferences and childcare rotations. If Harry vanished for meditation in the garden grotto, someone had to track him before Meghan's next scripted entrance. "You never knew which version of Meghan you'd get," said a departing housekeeper, suggesting the Duchess could shift from best friend pep talks to icy critiques over a misplaced eucalyptus diffuser. Yet those same staffers admit Harry sometimes stepped in as referee, calming nerves with dad jokes, only to fuel confusion when he promised changes Meghan hadn't approved. Whether this daily ping-pong was genuine chaos or simply high-stakes orchestration remains open to interpretation, but insiders agree the Montecito rhythm felt anything but tranquil. Wellness, insiders insist, was the true monarch of Montecito. Yet, rumors suggest the cost of that serenity gnawed at the household's purse strings. Staff recall round-the-clock deliveries of imported matcha flown in on ice, rose quartz water bottles swapped hourly so the infusion stayed energetically fresh, and a rotating roster of specialists.
This woman looks to me like a malignant narcissist. This woman has zero self-awareness.
One day, a sound bath guru hauling crystal bowls. The next, a niche acupuncturist reputed to charge more per session than a week of a senior footman's salary. One former aide jokes that the mansion operated a pop-up goop lab, only nobody could figure out who was footing the bill. Those luxuries, sources claim, clashed with whispers that the Sussex coffers weren't bottomless. An ex-chef says he fielded frantic calls about trimming grocery costs moments after Meghan allegedly insisted on gold leaf garnish for a smoothie bowl because the color pops on camera. Another employee recalls Harry championing budget mindfulness, then chartering a last-minute helicopter hop to Malibu for a brand meeting. According to one driver, the couple's hybrid SUV fleet was showcased for eco-cred. Yet if Meghan's infrared sauna appointment ran late, a backup petrol Range Rover idled outside for 20 minutes, just in case. Staff began comparing notes on which expense approval emails vanished into the ether, wondering aloud if Netflix advances were covering the crystal healer or if someone would soon slash overtime instead. As these contradictions deepened, morale reportedly tanked. A housekeeper describes racing to refresh a set of $800 candles before a Zoom appearance, even though she insists Meghan never lit them, preferring the unburned aesthetic. Meanwhile, Harry's breezy charm, inviting staff to sample his new hemp protein bars, couldn't offset the tension when accountants emailed for ever more receipts. They wanted West Coast Nirvana on an East Coast trust fund budget, a former security officer quipped, adding that whispers of brand burn rate circulated among night guards as often as gossip about the neighbors.
And some speculation that they are now actually eating into the inheritance left by both Princess Diana and the Queen Mother.
Whether the money crunch was exaggerated or imminent remains a matter of debate, but veteran insiders swear the gap between Lux image and ledger reality grew harder to ignore, especially for the people tasked with juggling Himalayan salt lamps in one hand and spreadsheets in the other. If Montecito's aura looked effortlessly opulent to the outside world, insiders say the spreadsheets backstage told a grittier tale. According to one former executive assistant, Friday afternoons often turned into hushed finance fire drills, with Meghan allegedly questioning why the house florist's invoice rivaled a small wedding's, while Harry scanned streaming deal progress reports like a man checking the surf. Staffers claim they heard frantic Zoom calls about cash flow optics, only to watch crates of biodynamic champagne rolled in for what guests later described as intimate vision board soirees. One ex-butler remembers a chic charity mixer, where candlelit tables groaned under 400 a pound Japanese A5 beef, even as a distant advisor reportedly cautioned Harry that Spotify's exit left a serious revenue crater. Those weekend parties, employees insist, showcased another paradox. The couple projecting billionaire confidence while quietly eyeballing the bottom line. A security team member says he overheard talk of cost-cutting after the electric bills arrived, yet the very next day, a landscape designer allegedly got the green light to truck in mature olive trees because young saplings didn't convey legacy on camera. Staff salary reviews, some whisper, were postponed more than once, with supervisors blaming contract renegotiations in progress. Whether those holdups were deliberate belt-tightening or typical big house bureaucracy is still argued in the staff WhatsApp alumni chat, but the delays fueled speculation that brand Sussex was balancing on a tighter wire than glossy magazine spreads suggested.
They're already living a billionaire's lifestyle, let's just be honest about it, and they are not anywhere close to earning billionaire money.
The tension reportedly spiked whenever Meghan planned a networking supper. Chefs scrambled to source truffle-infused sea salt flown overnight, while accountants asked if centerpieces could be scaled back. One caterer swears he got a 3 a.m. text about switching organic microgreens for less pricey romaine, only to receive another ping an hour later reinstating the haute version because A-list palates notice. Meanwhile, Harry's friends, insiders allege, urged him to loosen up on these high-stakes showcases and focus on meaningful philanthropy, but he allegedly countered that high-impact charity required high-impact optics. Whether that philosophy pays off or backfires remains unseen, but every ex-employee seems convinced the biggest drama in Montecito wasn't the guest list. It was the invisible ledger trying to keep up with it. They kept quiet for years, buried beneath stacks of confidentiality clauses and glossy People mag spread illusions, but something in the Montecito air has changed. At least, that's what the ex-employees mutter now. One former aide claims the tipping point came when yet another assistant ghosted mid-shift, slipping her keycard under a vase because, allegedly, the stress migraines outpaced the paycheck. Others hint at a quieter calculation, with Spotify flaking and Netflix trimming budgets. Brand Sussex may no longer wield the fearsome legal heft it once did. You don't threaten whistleblowers with war chests that light anymore if the war chest looks light, quips a one-time chef who says he watched the HR team scramble to renegotiate NDAs after staff turnovers spiked. There's also chatter, whispered at Santa Barbara cafes, that a glossy renovation shoot for a rumored lifestyle series never materialized, leaving camera-ready spaces unused and staff wondering if the golden goose was molting.
Everything they do seems so manipulative, calculated, PR motivated, money motivated.
A former driver suggests some employees smelled opportunity. Spill now, before a sanctioned docuseries hijacks the narrative and paints defectors as bitter. Meanwhile, a nanny who exited quietly last fall reportedly felt morally queasy, watching glowing interviews that, in her words, dusted sugar over the tension. Friends in her circle say she feared staying silent would make her complicit in a fairy tale she no longer believed. But perhaps the biggest catalyst, sources contend, was a growing solidarity among departed staff. A gardener who quit over the infamous lavender dispute says he bonded with a dismissed personal trainer in a local Facebook group. Together, they compared notes and realized their stories overlapped too neatly to be coincidence. Soon, an informal alumni network formed, sharing screenshots, time-stamped directives, even voice memos of late-night requests. Whether they plan a coordinated tell-all or simply crave catharsis remains unclear, yet the effect is the same. Whispers have snowballed into a low roar. If the Sussexes underestimate how quickly former insiders can become influencers, they might find Montecito's manicured hedges can't muffle an echo once it's ricocheting across the internet. But the tight-lipped ex-staffers aren't the only ones hinting at turbulence. Industry gossip circles are buzzing that visiting A-listers witnessed flashes of that hidden tension up close. One producer allegedly stopped by to brainstorm a documentary concept and left joking that Montecito felt more like an audition room than a royal refuge. Another rumored visitor, a mega agent known for smoothing celebrity egos, supposedly texted a colleague that he'd never seen such meticulous staging outside a Spielberg set.
She decided she didn't want to be a real princess because to be a real princess involves duty and responsibility, caring about other people. And so she just wanted to be a pretend princess in Hollywood, so she split her husband off from his royal family and then inked a $1 zillion deal with a bunch of media companies, and then all her projects flopped.
Sources claim even seasoned publicists, accustomed to diva behavior, were startled when Meghan reportedly halted a pitch meeting mid-sentence because the eucalyptus diffuser blend felt too January for a June vibe. According to whispers, the meeting resumed only after staff swapped in bergamot and repositioned chairs, so any potential B-roll wouldn't catch a cluttered corner. Insiders also allege that certain Hollywood friends now schedule drop-ins off-site, preferring quiet beach cafes to the mansion's orchestrated atmosphere. One screenwriter, people say, laughed it off as Zen fatigue, yet another confidant reportedly warned Harry that every controlled angle risked feeling inauthentic, the very flaw streaming executives now flag as audience kryptonite. Whether that advice stuck is unclear, but murmurs grew louder when a planned charity garden soiree was abruptly moved to an LA hotel ballroom. Staff speculate it wasn't logistics driving the change, rather a fear that Montecito's labyrinth of lighting, queues and privacy zones might spook high-profile attendees. They couldn't risk a guest tweeting about coded doorway lights, suggested a former event planner, guessing the new venue was simply a safer narrative stage. Rumor has it these ripples even reached Silicon Valley backers sniffing around Meghan's lifestyle brand concept. A venture capital scout allegedly described the site visit as polished to the point of paranoia, privately questioning if such micromanagement could translate into a scalable business. For the ex-employees watching from the sidelines, that commentary felt like vindication. The same hyper-controlled environment that exhausted the household might, they claim, be nudging potential partners to keep their wallets half closed. Whether the Sussexes recalibrate or double down is anyone's guess, but insiders whisper the next investor pitch could hinge on showing that Montecito's magic isn't just a luxe mirage kept afloat by lavender and NDAs. If the staff exodus left hairline cracks, The ensuing PR scramble threatens to split the Montecito facade wide open. At least that's the murmur in crisis communications circles. Word is Archewell's media team has been working overtime drafting context statements that never quite escape Google Docs, unsure whether a firm rebuttal or tactical silence serves the brand better.
Welcome to my home. Well, it's not my home, it's a set actually, but welcome to my set.
One crisis strategist, who claims she was approached for consultations, describes the atmosphere as red alert simmer, a state where every sunrise brings new leaked anecdotes to triage. According to her, the Sussexes spokespeople kept toggling between tone-polishing tweets and scanning TikTok for surge patterns, worried a single viral housekeeper story could upend months of image curating. Meanwhile, tipsters say Meghan floated. The idea of a glossy feature in a wellness magazine to reset the narrative, only for advisors to caution that an airy photo spread might look tone-deaf with former employees alleging burnout. Legal tremors compound the headache. Two separate attorneys, not directly attached to the couple but familiar with entertainment defamation suits, suggest the Sussex camp has quietly weighed selective cease and desists. Yet even these lawyers reportedly admit litigious fireworks could backfire in the era of screenshot receipts and anonymous podcasts. Back-channel chatter hints that one high-profile law firm recommended a softer strategy: flood the zone with uplifting philanthropy highlights, then let the gossip drown in charitable glow. But insiders counter that feel-good posts might land flat if hawk-eyed social media sleuths point out timing coincidences. Every donation tweet feels like cover fire when staff tell-alls are trending, quipped a digital brand analyst who has tracked Sussex sentiment spikes since the Oprah interview. Amid this swirl, industry bean counters allegedly fret over an even bigger threat: reputational fatigue. One streaming executive confides that algorithms are flagging Sussex as a term viewers either binge or block. Little middle ground remains. That polarization, he warns, scares buyers looking for broad appeal. If advertisers decide Montecito's melange of glamour and grievance no longer converts, future projects could stall before the first camera roll. For ex-employees watching from afar, that possibility feels like poetic justice. After years of micromanaged optics, the couple's greatest risk may be optics overload. Whether they pivot with a candid documentary, warts, lavender, and all, or bunker down behind thicker hedges is anyone's guess.
Has reported that King Charles is turning a blind eye, but King William won't.
But PR pros whisper the next misstep won't just dent brand Sussex. It could redefine how Hollywood courts ex-royalty in the influencer age. While Archewell's damage control team juggles hashtags, a quieter storm appears to be forming across the pond, and even along the Montecito coastline itself. British courtiers, sources whisper, are monitoring the leaks with what one palace insider allegedly called grim satisfaction, privately noting how the Sussexes once decried Kensington's strict hierarchy only to, reportedly, recreate an even tighter grip in California. According to rumblings in London clubs, at least, 2 royal aides have suggested the revelations could complicate any future olive branch visits. The notion of Windsor staffers sharing residence space with Meghan's color-coded corridor lights, one quips, reads like a recipe for déjà vu drama. Meanwhile, Montecito neighbors, usually discreet behind wisteria-draped gates, are said to be growing wary of the whirlwind attention. A local HOA board member allegedly floated stricter drone ban bylaws after a tabloid quadcopter hovered over a staffer's exit interview in the cul-de-sac. Charity partners feel the tremor too, a children's literacy nonprofit that once trumpeted. Its Sussex connection now reportedly debates pausing collaborative events until the dust settles, worried that staffer exposés could eclipse fundraising headlines. In Silicon Valley, venture capital sources claim at least one prospective investor in Meghan's wellness venture asked for a culture audit clause before final due diligence, a request insiders say was virtually unheard of during the couple's 2020 deal spree. Even entertainment lawyers watching from LA's Century City Towers speculate streaming bidders might insert conduct leak triggers into future contracts.
According to a source, here's the quote: Prince William plans to flex his muscles and wipe his wayward brother Prince Harry and his power-hungry wife Meghan from the history books,
reducing payouts if brand sentiment tanks mid-production. Closer to home, the whispers seep into Montecito's service circles. A boutique staffing agency that once touted its palace-trained recruits allegedly reports a dip in applicants willing to accept Sussex assignments. Word on the street is new hires prefer Hollywood producers with predictable quirks over ex-royals wielding lavender mandates. Some veteran house managers even hint at forming an informal guild, sharing best practices for non-disclosure complexities and mental health support when celebrity households veer palace grade. Whether that solidarity gains traction remains uncertain. But one retired butler observes the irony. It used to be an honor to serve a duke. Now it's a risk assessment. If these ripple effects gain momentum, the fallout may extend far beyond those terracotta walls, challenging not only Meghan and Harry's next headline deal, but the very cachet that once made service in their orbit a coveted badge of prestige. So, where does all this leave the Montecito fairy tale the world thought it knew? If even a fraction of these staff whispers carry weight, Meghan and Harry's California kingdom may be teetering between glossy aspiration and simmering unease. Former employees portray a household forever toggling between wellness chic and spreadsheet suspense. Hollywood visitors allegedly sense the tension the moment they cross the threshold, and potential investors, charities, even neighboring estates appear to be running quiet cost-benefit calculations in the background. Add in courtiers back in London discreetly chalking up points, and you have a narrative that sounds less like a happily ever after and more like a cliffhanger worthy of prestige television.
Enough for Bill Simmons over at the Ringer podcast, which was acquired by Spotify, to call Harry and Meghan, quote, a fucking grifter on his latest podcast. Here's what he had to say.
I wish I had been involved in the Meghan and Harry leave Spotify negotiation. The grifters.
Yet the Sussexes have surprised skeptics before. Could a transparent reset, raw documentary, or unexpected royal rapprochement flip the story yet again? Or will the accumulation of lavender-lit corridors, revolving staff exits, and mounting budget questions finally eclipse that carefully curated brand halo? Whatever unfolds next will likely hinge on one simple truth. Image control in the digital era is a high-stakes game of whack-a-mole, and the moles just gained Wi-Fi. If more former insiders decide their silence no longer serves them, the trickle of revelations could become a flash flood, sweeping away half-finished spin strategies in its wake. On the other hand, a single heartfelt move showing the messy human side they've spent years editing out might disarm critics and draw sympathizers back into the fold. For now, the only certainty is uncertainty. And the gates of that sun-drenched mansion can't keep speculation from circling like gulls over the Pacific. Now it's your turn. Do you think Meghan and Harry can regain control of their narrative? Or have these alleged Montecito secrets already done lasting damage? And if more staff step forward, would that change your view of the Sussex brand? Or is the royal drama fatigue already real? Drop your thoughts below, tap the like button if you crave more unfiltered insider tea, and hit subscribe so you never miss the next explosive reveal. The video waiting on your screen is calling, and trust me, you won't believe what's coming next.